Good morning. My name is Megan Edwards of Focus Communications, and today we're getting another update from TriStar Gold. TriStar continues to advance Brazil's premier gold development project, Castelo de Sonhos, which is located in the mining-friendly Para state, Brazil. The company trades on the TSX.V under the symbol TSG. And with us today, live from Beaver Creek, is TriStar's president and CEO, Nick Appleyard. Nick, how are you doing?
Yeah, very good, very well. Thanks, Megan. It's good to see you today.
Absolutely. So, for those new to TriStar Gold, could you give us a brief overview of the company and your flagship project, Castelo de Sonhos Gold Project in Brazil?
Yeah, so Castelo de Sonhos is a development asset we've been working on. I've been working on now for about 6 years. We've grown it from a couple of 100,000 ounces now to where we have 1.8 million ounces of indicated resources and an additional 700,000 ounces of inferred resources. And as a subset of that, we've also got 1.4 million ounces in reserves now. So it's an asset that's grown brilliantly over the last few years. We've completed the PFS, which generated those 1.4 million ounces of reserves, and we're now advancing on permitting and looking forward to a production decision out once the permits are received sometime next year.
Sounds great. Now let's talk about the Esperança South target area. It's been the main target for the company where a large percentage of your resource currently is. Now, for our audience, can you talk about the history of this target and how you've grown the footprint here?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm just going to use the slides here a little bit, I guess, to talk about this. But Esperanza South, I'll talk about some projections here. So yeah, please have a look at the disclaimer. Esperanza South is the main portion of the deposit. It's really the economic heart of the deposit here, and it's out of the 1.8 million ounces of indicated resources we've got, I believe about 1.4 million ounces of that are at Esperanza South. It's also higher grade than the rest of the deposit that we've drilled to date. Doesn't mean there aren't other high grade areas that we have not yet drilled yet. There are a lot of more targets, but it's the heart of what we know so far, and it's really what's driving our pre-feasibility study, and it's driving the economics, and it's the heart of what we're permitting. So it's the easiest low hanging fruit, first coming into the project. What we've really got is about a 6 kilometer long area with very shallow dipping sedimentary beds, going down across it, say outcrop right at surface, and for the whole 6 kilometer lengths, we see these beautiful conglomerates right at surface. Historically mined by good info. So there are these what we call super trenches where they took them down to 20 meters deep, and got the gold they could out of it. And we're now chasing that down to 110, 140 meters vertical depth to get that 1.4 million ounces of indicated resources and about 1 million ounces of indicated of probable reserves there just in Esperanza South, in a very nice location where it all holds together really well.
And in July, you started an expansion program at this target. Could you run us through the details of the program and perhaps an update from the drilling?
Yeah, so the idea was, out of our PFS, we got had 11-year mine life. For the first 6 to 7 years of Esperanza South, and you're producing 150,000 ounces a year with a very high profit margin. Then you moved into the peripheral deposits, and the profit margins dropped as the grade dropped. So we thought that the thing we should do is look at drilling out and adding to Esperanza South. So that's why we started a 2,500 meter drill program in July. So that program is ongoing. It's going to be drilling all year. It's a little bit slow, the drilling this year. Advancing okay. Still 2 rigs on site, but it'll take through the end of the month before the first set of results maybe start coming out, and then results coming out probably through January, February next year. But it's all looking good. We're hitting the conglomerates that we expect to hit. It's just a matter of if we hit the high grade channels that we really want to target.
Yes, absolutely. And what's the significance of the work completed so far at Esperanza South, and what else are you working on now that should add value to the company?
Yeah, so that's the real thing. I mean, I think if we drilled other areas where we could add, some grade at half a gram or a gram, it doesn't add as much direct value to us if we can add good grade extending where we're permitting. So that's going to be adding to our NAV or the NPV of the deposit immediately. So that's why this drill program I see as a real value add. I mean, if we hit something and it gives us another 100 meters of strike, 100 meters of pit length, that's just profit in the early years of the mine. So that was the idea of doing this, spending this little bit of money on a drill program which will pay back as quickly as possible, rather than spending money on a drill program which might pay back in 30 years. And the other big thing we're doing, obviously, this is the heart of the area that we're permitting. Permits are moving forward. Permitting is never exciting, never sexy to talk about, but the one thing we do know about it is when we end up with 1.5 million ounces of reserves permitted, that is a big value add, and that's the real big thing we're moving towards now. Middle of next year we should get the LP, the prior license in Brazil, and that should, in theory, unlock a lot of value, and that's the biggest value add we're going to be doing now. This drilling will piggyback on that and add value to the reserves that we can extract based on that permit. But it's the permit that's a massive value add. We're looking at our share price and our valuation now, and you look at the peers and what they're valued at with a permit, with reserves of the same sort of scale of us. It's not a hard calculation to do what might happen next year to us.
And before I wrap things up, are there any more slides you would like to take us through?
I can just have a quick look at the program here a little bit. So what we're talking about is drilling and expanding the area, the zone 1 area here is really what we're doing with the drill program. Like I said, that's the heart of the deposit. The good thing that I should mention is there are so many targets around this project still to drill. I mean, if I was, a Goldfields or a Newmont or someone with a massive budget, I would have a fleet of drill rigs out there drilling the whole plateau out, and your resources are going to be growing massively. We don't have that, so we have to target the best bits now and drill what we can. But there are a lot of targets still to drill, so it's an exciting project. We get those permits, unlock that value, then we're going to be able to drill out the rest of it and see really what this project can deliver.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show today, Nick. We look forward to hearing more about more updates as it moves forward, and I appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you very much.